bit of a different story coming out of Baylor than most storylines across the country, because you've got a coach coming from the East Coast who didn't seem, based on what I've heard, to be a great fit as analyzed by a lot of people. I thought it was a tremendous get for this Baylor program, and there have been a lot of challenges surrounding, we know, off the field that make recruiting very difficult. But we're talking a top 40 class there at Baylor, and Matt Rhule off to a good start. We bring in Sean Cordy from Sikkim, a 365, to break down the Bears and Matt Rhule. Sean, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing great, Mark. I mean, today's Baylor's birthday. They're over 200 years old now, and Baylor's playing Kansas tonight. Should be a pretty fun night for Baylor, especially with the top 40 class.
You got to run that by me again. Whose birthday?
It's Baylor's. It's their anniversary.
Baylor's birthday. I'm going to guess that this university was established in 1809. No, it's newer than that. I'm going to say 1908.
1845 is when they founded.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I'm a bit off there. Hopefully I do better in analyzing college football. Okay, your thoughts about the Baylor class with Matt Rhule, of course, having the challenges off the field, and then also have the challenges of not having the complete recruiting cycle to work with.
It's absolutely incredible what Rhule has been able to do with the little amount of time that he had. And especially look at December, you had just one player. You had Jalen Petrie. He was the only recruit that Baylor had for a while. And Baylor was projected to be a top 10, top 15 recruiting class for the longest time. And then once all this more allegations start coming along, then the recruits just started dropping by the dozen. And when Rhule came around, like you said, he seemed like to be a abstract hire, but the closer you look into it, he's a pastor's son. He really buys into Baylor's program and the atmosphere, and in turn, a lot of recruits did too, 27 recruits in total. So that's really impressive considering he basically had 2 months to do this all.
When you look down the list of signees, who catches your attention? Who may we see, if not this fall, making an impact in 18 or 19?
Yeah, so Rhule, he's basically said that he's not planning on starting freshmen unless he feels that they're ready. And the same goes for sophomores. He would love to start freshmen. He says that he's looked at studies that show that freshmen, if they play their first year, they physically do better, they're mentally healthier. So he would love to do that. So you look down the list, you got wide receivers like R.J. Sneed, who had Alabama, Auburn, Ole Miss looking at him, and he chose Baylor. He chose Matt Rhule. And then you also have Xavier Newman. He's at the top. He's an ESPN 300 selection right now. Baylor has two other ones, another wide receiver, and someone else I'm figuring out at the top of my head. But we're also bringing in a more local kid, Ashton Logan. He's a safety, but he's going to be brought in to play linebacker. He reminds me a little bit of Trayvon Blanchard, and for the more national crowd, you could kind of compare him to Sua Cravens or Taylor Mays if you want to dig back that far. He's a really hard-hitting 6'2", 220 pounds playing safety. He's very agile, can play linebacker too, and we should see what Rhule can do with him.
So a lot was made on this day about some of those uncommitted players, that 25 to 40 players that were uncommitted until this final day, and the ones from Texas not making that decision to stay in Texas. I'm going to guess that this Baylor class, I haven't looked through the locale for these players, but I got to think that Texas is supplying most of these players.
Yeah, typically Baylor has gotten a lot of Texas players, but this is a pretty abstract class because you also have 6 other states contributing. You have 3 from New Jersey, you have someone from Florida, and so with the northeastern side that Rhule's come from, he was able to keep those players' trust and bring them down 1,000 miles. And so that's not something Briles or Grove was able to do, or mostly Briles, because he was a Texas man. And now you bring someone with New England connections from Matt Rhule, and he has already shown that he can go beyond Texas. So while there was 20 recruits from Texas, there's still more than we're used to getting elsewhere.
Yeah, considering the competition out there in the Big 12 and elsewhere, considering the challenges off the field that we've delved into on other segments, won't talk about now, and certainly considering not having the full recruiting cycle, Matt Rhule, outstanding job. We know that he can coach on the sideline, and we know what he did at Temple. Baylor might be able to weather this storm and get through it, a la Penn State. It might be able to be done there at Baylor with a guy like Matt Rhule in place.
And also, this is his best recruiting class he's ever had. Temple, I think he peaked at around 60. And now he's at 38, 39, depending on your source. And looking at the rest of the Big 12, that's actually really impressive because the only team in the top 15, top 20, was Oklahoma at number 8, both by ESPN and 24/7. Then you have Texas, TCU, Oklahoma State, all around the mid-30s, early 30 range. So Baylor being at 39 is quite impressive.
Well, Sean, I'm going to guess that he's got a better recruiting class at Baylor than he ever had at Temple. I would have bet significant amounts of money that was the case.
For sure. But, I mean, that only shows you the ceiling that he can elevate this to.
Definitely. Matt Rhule, good hire, no doubt, there at Baylor. Sean Cordy joining us on occasion here at Mark Rogers TV to talk Baylor, also the Big 12 in general. Sean from Sikkim 365. We appreciate you jumping on board, Sean.
No problem, Mark. Gotta go watch the game now. All right.
All right. Watch the basketball.